on Films. I'm Colleen Flaherty.
And I'm Michael Flaherty.
And we are continuing our countdown of the American Film Institute Top 100 Films.
Yes, we are.
This week, we're discussing All the President's Men.
Yes.
Wow, let's do it. Let's get into it.
I'm so excited. So much hype here today, Colleen. Let's read our synopsis, IMDb. Here we go. The Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein uncover the details of the Watergate scandal that leads to the President Richard Nixon's resignation.
Whoa.
Whoa, that is interesting.
That's
what
so
an interesting
heavy.
topic.
You sound like you do not care.
I know, I'm trying to amp up the enthusiasm. Woo!
Yeah.
Nixon, woo!
Political intrigue.
Yeah, a lot of...
It is crazy. So this is going to spoil it for our listeners a bit.
Yep, Nixon was pardoned.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, folks.
That we record and then publish way later. So we watched this, and then the next day, the first indictments of the Mueller investigation came down. Mueller? I was like, whoa.
Whoa, history repeats itself.
Oh, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so relevant.
I don't know.
But we don't know shit about movies, and we sure don't know shit about politics. So
I
let's
mean, we're experts on movies.
Right, sorry, that's what I meant.
Oh, I didn't text John. Go on.
But it's just like, it felt very relevant and interesting.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
As did a lot of things that are happening in this film.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to ask me if I've seen it?
Have you seen this film before?
Nope.
Do you want to ask me if I've seen it?
Colleen?
I have seen it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
And how is it this time compared to last time?
So this viewing, I'm like, I kind of get why someone wouldn't like this film, and I still love this film.
Oh, love.
Yeah. Here's a little background on me, is that I went to journalism school, was a journalist. So I think the first time I saw this movie was in a journalism class.
That's me.
I'm like, this is gonna be me.
Colleen Woodward.
I was 19 years old, and I'm like, this is exactly how my life is gonna play out.
That would be nice.
Did not happen.
No.
And I think they're both deeply unhappy men, really,
So you
maybe
lucked
it was
out.
fine.
Yeah.
What was your initial...
Well, I had a lot of people saying, oh, what a great movie it was. So I think it was a little overhyped.
By a lot of people, a lot of those people was me.
No, basically everybody I told that I was seeing this movie, they're like, oh, love that movie. So I was like, oh, it's a really good movie. And I think I did like it because there were definitely cool moments. Mm-hmm. Anytime an investigation was happening with somebody who's like really reluctant to give up information was always really good, and I really enjoyed those scenes. But I walked away thinking, like, there's probably a better documentary on this topic than this movie.
Interesting.
That's how I feel. But I did like it.
I don't think it's like the pinnacle, like, resource for the Watergate scandal.
No, that's not what I mean. I feel like, I don't know.
Just, I gotcha.
If you saw a documentary, you'd see the whole story.
For sure.
And this is really a slice.
Yeah, because I think near the end, like, some of the most interesting things that come out about the Watergate scandal, like, have to do with, like, the tapes that he had in his office and stuff, and they didn't mention that at all. But I don't think that has anything to do with the reporters and what they uncovered, I guess.
No, I guess you're right. So this movie is strictly about that, so...
About journalism. One of my other reactions was, this is the first time I've seen it since I saw the film Spotlight, and it's really easy to compare the two.
I've not seen it. Is it better than this movie, or is it worse?
It might be, but...
Might be better.
It might...
I felt like this movie just ended.
Yeah.
Like, so I remember the very, very ending where there's the typewriter and all the words are going by, but, like, I could not, for the life of me, remember what happens, like, right before that, because I was just watching, like, oh, the movie's over.
Well, let's get into it. But before we do...
Okay. Well, what happens before?
Before,
what happens? I'm trying to set you up. It's not went weirdly. What happens before, Colleen?
well, before we should get some facts to...
There's only one way to do that. Here's how we do it.
Bam!
Time for Sam.
That was a weird...
I liked it.
Here we go.
Okay. This film was nominated for 8 Oscars. It won 4.
Woo!
It was nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Director, Best Editing, Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Sound, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress.
Wow.
It won Best Art
Who
Direction.
was the best supporting actress? There were women in this film?
Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Sound, and Best Supporting Actor for Jason Robard, who played Ben Brocklick, who was the Papers editor.
Ben Bradley.
He was great.
Oh. Yes, it is Bradley. My notes are really messy. Best Supporting Actress was Jane Alexander, who played the bookkeeper.
For like 2 seconds.
She did a good job.
I guess.
So in 1974, the first year that this book was published, the book that this film's based off of, Bernstein and Woodward, thank you, wrote a book
Called All the President's Men.
called All the President's Men. The first year that the book was published, Robert Redford approached them and bought the rights to the books for $450,000, which in 2014 would have been $2.15 million.
Whoa. Is that a lot for rights, though? I don't know.
I don't know, actually.
I would like...
It seems like a big number, though.
It does seem like a lot, but maybe it's not.
That's something that research probably should have looked into.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe research should have done her job.
Robert Redford was really determined to get another big name to play beside him because he didn't want one of the two to look more important, so they got Dustin Hoffman.
But he wanted to make sure one looked way more gorgeous than the other one.
Yeah, we all know Robert Redford is a gorgeous man.
Can I just say, side note, that we were watching this with some family, including our mother, and she was like, oh, Dustin Hoffman's such a cutie.
I think he's a cutie.
And I'm, what?
I think he's a cutie.
That's crazy.
Hoffman and Redford actually memorized each other's lines so that they could interrupt each other, and it really threw off all the other actors. They were very uncomfortable in scenes with the two of them because they were so in sync.
Oh, I liked that. I really liked their banter.
Nothing was allowed in the script unless it was meticulously verified and confirmed by independent sources. The phrase "follow the money" came from this film. It was not in the book, and it was not a part of the Watergate dialogue before. So "follow the money" is only from this film. Last one I really have for you is that on Tuesday, May 31st, 2005, Mark Feltz announced that he was Deep Throat. Mm-hmm. He was the deputy director at the time of the FBI, so second in command in the FBI, when he was meeting with them and giving them the information about Watergate. Carl Bernstein actually had some help, or not Carl Bernstein, sorry.
Bob Woodward.
Bob Woodward had some help in helping cast, and he suggested the actor who played Deep Throat in the film, and they actually do look a little bit alike.
That's so weird because Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman don't look that much like the real Bob Woodward.
But they're cuties.
But they're cuties.
But they're cuties.
But except for Dustin Hoffman.
Who is definitely a cutie.
So, it was a little bit of a giveaway, but yeah.
I'm really interested about like this escalated timeline because like so the rest of the Watergate indictments came out in 1974, and they wrote a book and made a film that was released by 1976. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, so the book came out, and they actually, when they were writing the book, they were told to focus more on like how they got their information versus because they were newspaper writers, they wanted to kind of just write a book about the facts. And they were told, no, you need to write about your experiences and how you got this information. That's the story here that's really fascinating. So they wrote the book, and
so that's why they don't really get into the end stuff, like the aftermath, as much in the movie or the book.
Well, actually, the book tells everything, but the director and the screenwriter decided to just cut the book in half. So they actually only tell the first part of the book.
Oh.
It's only the first
So that was a choice. That wasn't just because of the accelerated timeline thing.
Yep, that was completely a choice. Actually, Carl Bernstein and his girlfriend at the time, Nora Ephron, wrote their own
acclaimed writer of When Harry Met Sally. Go on.
Wrote their own screenplay, which was just not accepted by anyone. But there is one scene from the screenplay that got in, which is the scene where Carl Bernstein's talking to a female coworker, and they kind of had that flirty banter back and forth.
Was that Nora?
No.
Oh.
But that was just like a small little scene that came from their screenplay. But other than that, it was written by, I don't remember his name, but I think it's the guy who did.
William Goldman?
Yeah, William Goldman, yeah.
Who wrote
Princess
Bride and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid before, and Butch Cassidy was before this film, I think.
When did Wild Bunch come out?
Okay, I know, doesn't matter. Anyway, thank you, Samantha. That was our research arm reporting in
For Bam. Time versus Sam. Yeah.
Time versus Sam.
That's what
This is a really good setup.
yeah. Nice job, us.
That was really good.
You know what I don't like about this film?
What-
I feel like there was a cut scene where someone was like, well, who's involved in this scandal? And then someone turns to the camera and they go, all the president's men.
Oh.
Which I feel like that.
Did you want them to look right at the camera?
Oh, absolutely down the barrel.
I think it would have been better if they set it up more obviously. Like, who's involved here? What men are we talking about?
Oh,
some of the men at the White House?
What percentage of men?
All right. Well, so not everybody thinks this is an amazing film.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Bullshit.
So I
Prove
have
it.
the proof.
Prove it. Okay.
We have our next segment.
You did the journalism on this one.
I did. I
Okay.
did the meticulous reporting and got some 1-star reviews from
right.
Amazon.com.
I still don't believe you, but let's see.
Michael, you want to...
All right. Here's what Alicia says. Boring.
That's it.
All right, Alicia. Okay.
Okay.
It's a little harsh.
La Rochelle said, way too much bad language.
Was there that much bad language?
I was wondering about that too. Maybe. There were a couple people who complained about that in the comments.
Okay. Here's what Susan J. Reed says. Very slow moving, uncomfortable characters. I had to fast forward a lot.
I feel like you'd miss a lot if you fast forwarded. It feels like a very plot heavy, you'd miss stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the movie is kind of totally consistent. Like, I can't... The scenes are kind of similar in my mind. Good scenes, but, like, what scenes would you fast forward versus other
that's
scenes?
what I'm... Yeah.
Okay.
This is my favorite one.
Go ahead.
This movie put me to sleep. It lacks great synthesizer music.
Yeah, it does.
Don't get me wrong, but this movie stinks. I don't know how you get him wrong there.
Don't... Yeah.
This film lacks a great musical score, you know? Background music. It
really-
does not have any.
He's really on this.
Yeah. Once you see a tons of movies and shows, you will know what I'm talking about.
You know, background... All right, just watch movies, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So there's, like, music in the back. Just watch it. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay, this is... You don't know where this review is going.
I do not.
I would not mind seeing Scarlett Johansson be in a newer version.
What?
2005, The Secret is out. Everyone knows who Deep Throat is. To some, he is a hero, while to others, he is something else. But who cares?
Oh.
End of review.
Who was that by?
A Kid's Review is his name.
A Kid's Review is the
But
name.
he's seen a lot of shows and movies.
So right, because I haven't seen those. So there's like, I guess there's usually some sort of music that goes on in the background.
I guess.
Okay, I'm not.
Cool synthesizer music.
That does sound really great. That should have been adopted for this flick.
I have to say, there was one other one-star review I was thinking of, and it was just this really long, effusive review of the guy from Seventh Heaven who's in this movie, and it was just like, I fucking hate this movie, except that guy was in it, and he's amazing. But this review was from 2002, before we found out that he was the pedophile.
Wow, that aged badly.
It did, and I was like, you know, that's not funny.
No, that's not a
That's
good
not
bit.
a funny joke.
Good thing you decided not to put that in the podcast.
Good thing we decided not to discuss it.
Yeah, that's good. So
Stephen Collins is his name, I think.
What's the next segment?
Where we just talk about the movie, I think. That's the next segment.
It was good. What's your favorite moment in the movie?
Oh man, so I think
That should be a segment. Favorite moment.
favorite moment.
I like that. That's good. Let's keep this in.
I liked the newsroom parts a lot. It felt very real to me because I've worked in a newsroom, not to brag, and I really liked just the meticulous research parts, like the piecing it together, the coming, and how it all falls into place at once after it seems like they're doing little things that won't add up to anything.
Least favorite segment. That's the segment. Is favorite part, least favorite part. That's what this is.
I feel like there was a lot of slow driving through DC. I didn't really get.
Oh yeah. Well, you need establishing shots.
I guess.
You need to know where you are.
Yeah.
Here's. You done?
Yeah.
Here's my favorite part is when Dustin Hoffman is questioning that woman who's kind of reluctant to give up
He's
information.
such a dick.
Yeah, and then he
in
like
her home.
yeah, and he like
not the secretary that he was harassing.
right. And he's like, give me a cup of coffee, and he ends up drinking like 20 cups of coffee, and he's like writing stuff down on napkins and
Yes.
paper towels to like try to get all the information. That was my favorite part. My least favorite part was how felt like it could have been more of a buddy cop comedy, where like usually in those movies the two leads disagree. They have
Right. They agreed
conflict.
too much.
They were always 100% in sync all the time.
But I felt like I feel like they didn't spend a lot of time on their characters or their personalities because it was all about the mystery and them being journalists. But at the same time I felt like, oh, these are two different people. I feel like they established that well.
I also didn't like personally, just because I'm not very smart politically, they would go like, oh, well, this is the cabinet of this and this executive, blah, 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 this person. Like they would just say a lot of names and I'd be like, All right, let's go to the next scene. I didn't really catch all that.
I feel like some of that has to do with it not aging very well. Like, so if this movie came out in 1976, Watergate just happened.
Right.
So they feel like they didn't have to explain a lot because you would have just known.
Right,
some
you would
of
have
that.
seen weeks of news covering all this stuff.
Right. So, like,
Yeah.
you don't have to explain who Halderman is because, like, he's in the news all the time.
Right,
It's
right.
like you don't have to explain who James Comey is right now.
Right.
It's probably a similar, but not the same.
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean. That's a good point.
But yeah, I agree with you that now it's because they would just name. And actually, our parents were with us, as I mentioned, because we're really cool. We do have other friends. We don't just hang out with our parents all the time.
Just lie to our audience.
Yeah, they don't know.
All right.
God damn it, Mikey. So they would like sometimes jump in and be like, oh, this is who they're talking about, or this is what this is. And I'm like, actually, that was really helpful. Because usually they're not that helpful.
Right.
And our father really wanted to talk about how it was really an attack on our democracy that was in jeopardy. And we're like, yep,
Yeah, we got it.
cool. Nixon.
Okay, so that was my segment. Favorite part, least favorite. Do you have a cool segment?
Oh, now I have to think of a cool segment?
Yeah.
I'm not really great on improv. I'm not quick on my feet.
Well, here's your practice.
I mean, I really want you to defend yourself when you say that Dustin Hoffman is a hottie.
So he's creepy a little bit. So there's sort of two aspects of it.
Right.
Creepy, but like, it's cutie though. It's kinda, I don't know. Like, don't smile too much, because then it gets weird.
In this movie specifically or in general?
So that was a really good defense, right?
Yeah, that was really good. Oh, isn't there a lot of news recently about how Dustin Hoffman's a total creep?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I see it.
Apparently.
Also kind of a cutie.
No, apparently he has like roped women on sets and kind of been
Jesus.
I know.
Ugh.
But he was so good in Hook.
It was so... What a great movie.
What a great movie. Why aren't we watching that movie?
That's a great question.
So just to kind of like run through the plot really, really quick. So it begins right away, the movie, with the Watergate break-in, which all they thought was it was just a burglary. And then Bob Woodward is just this like beat cop or cub reporter. And he's like, it's super weird that these guys had a break-in and had super sophisticated equipment and they're wearing suits and they have these super expensive lawyers.
Yes.
And that's how it all starts. Oh, you know, back to your earlier question, one of my favorite scenes is the first time we meet Deep Throat.
Yeah.
And I love when he comes out and he's like, okay, so this is a conspiracy because these guys all have all this money, but they're not very smart. So stop thinking they are.
Yeah.
I liked that. That also reminds me of our current political situations. Like,
Yeah.
these aren't brilliant masterminds.
But more so now, maybe.
Maybe more so.
Maybe.
But I just really, but then it made me like really think, maybe there are a lot of conspiracies going on right now because there are some smarter people somewhere.
Yeah, Area
around.
51, maybe.
Maybe.
Right.
I don't think that there are big, grand, like 9/11 didn't happen ones because there's just too many people involved and they're people in general as a large group
We're really
are very
getting
smart.
deep into this podcast.
We really
Go
are.
on. What else do you believe?
I mean,
Tell all.
so I'm just saying maybe really smart people could do a real conspiracy because it's hard to uncover a conspiracy. That's all I'm saying.
If you have a lot of political power, sure, yeah.
And money, probably.
Right.
But just don't involve too many people. I think that's the key.
It's good. We're learning.
We're learning. And I thought it was interesting. So Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein were clearly not their star reporters, and Ben Bradley trying to get like a real reporter on it, but they're like, no, we're gonna do it, and that was neat. I liked all of them working together as buddies.
Yeah. You know what was my favorite scene also?
What?
It's like a 20-minute scene where they're in just the newsroom, but it's like all the top editors or whoever's in charge of the newspaper, and they're like just deciding what's going to go on the newspaper for that day.
That was what's going on the slate.
And it seemed like a bit of a sidetrack because that scene went on for a pretty long time without going back to the main plot. But I still liked it just as like, that's what they did back then.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
Exclusively, white men, but
Well, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. This the feeling that they did in the newsroom like made it feel so real, and them having to get like a third source on something that was
No
true.
synthesizer background music though.
I know, that was so weird.
That was
I mean, if
lame.
you watched other movies,
Other movies would have that,
Yeah.
we would learn. Anyway, I
I don't
interrupted
know.
you.
No, I just I really like this film a lot, I guess.
All right, I can't say that I liked it that much. Not much of an arc.
Really fair.
But I will say this: it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think, And the time just absolutely flew by for me.
Yeah, and I do totally agree with you that when you get to the end of the movie, it doesn't feel like it's about to end.
Yeah.
Like, it still feels like there's so much more to do, and then they just at the last minute, like, wrap up, oh, we have the source, we got him.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this typewriter that's like, oh, 40 people were indicted, maybe more. Richard Nixon resigned.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a year after the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I thought Robert Redford was very good.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, because people said that before this movie, that the acting was really good. And I was thinking, like, I mean, are they acting? I mean, if you're a person pretending to be a lion, that is like, wow, you really have to be able to act well. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not a lion. But to be just a guy who talks intensely, does that require a lot of acting skill?
Now, so just to be clear,
Yeah.
you have to be an animal?
No, something very different than what you are.
Well, they're not reporters, Michael.
What I'm saying is, if you can really, like, oh, that must be a lion who looks like a person, then you're clearly very, very good at acting.
I was very convinced that they were newspaper reporters.
But that's just like a person. Like, I would be that, you and I would be that good.
But not very good at being a lion.
Exactly, because that's really hard. Roar. What, that's your roar? Really? You suck at acting. You suck. But I could be like, oh, today's column will be the crossword. That's what they say.
Simba.
You're not a good lion.
That sounded exactly like James Earl Jones.
So are they good actors, is the question.
Because they're just being people?
Right.
Like almost all movies?
You know what I mean? But they don't have, like, dramatic moments. Really.
That's true. But I guess for me,
I still don't know the story.
I guess it was so subtle. Right?
So that's actually where I'm coming around. That was my sort of feeling beforehand.
Okay.
Like, is it really good acting?
Because
They're just
nobody's
people.
a lion.
Nobody's a lion. But then during the movie, especially the scene with Dustin Hoffman being very like, I'm trying to get information out of this person, but they're really hesitant to do so. I felt a lot of tension.
I loved those scenes now that you're mentioning it.
Yeah.
Like, there were a couple scenes where clearly the person wanted to talk about what they were doing. And I don't know, the dialogue felt real to me. Like,
everyone was really good at acting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I can say the word real before I could. I think my point's been made there.
Yeah, I think so.
Being a little repetitive. Yeah. I don't want to go too much into the politics of the situation now and then. So I won't.
Okay, great. So, you know what we should do?
What?
We've heard Samantha's research.
Right.
We've
Good
heard,
research.
We've heard your opinions.
Uh-huh.
And you've heard my opinions.
Good opinions. All
There's
around.
only one opinion left in the world.
Who is it?
It's our brother John. That's right. It's time for a bro call.
Bro call!
I did not warn him at all. So let's see if he got some spam text. All right. Call brother John.
What kind of spam text do you get?
Calling brother John.
Like ads? Like I don't want to pull it up.
I've only gotten ones for sunglasses. How weirdly specific.
That is very weird. Do you use Amazon search for that a lot?
No,
You don't look that up on Google? You don't get the...
Hey!
John, you are on Flahertys on Films, the best podcast. We want to talk to you about Super Mario Odyssey that just came out on Switch. You've been playing it. Tell us what you think.
He's lying. He's lying to you.
Well, the answer is it's clearly a game that was designed by game masters.
Yes.
Who then proceeded to do a
What
lot
the fuck is
of
a
their
game
own.
master?
Just someone who's, experienced.
Yeah. It's like a whole bunch of people who are real experts at their craft got together and said, okay, this is the perfect game. By the way, can we hit that?
What? Yeah, so it's a 10 out of 10 is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's one of those where you get to the section and
What the
oh,
fuck is
that's
happening to
really
her?
John, I'm so glad that you had that. Thanks for this bro call. I'm glad we got your opinions. Before we go, do you have any thoughts about All the President's Men, the movie?
That's the Watergate movie, right?
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, I saw that 9 months ago or so.
Weird.
Oh.
That's so.
And what are your thoughts about it?
That was right when the Trump stuff was starting to happen. This is quite a timely movie.
Yeah.
and the parallels are a little bit creepy.
A little bit.
Especially since, like, apparently Watergate was such a slow-burning thing, and Republicans were so unified in opposition. You don't really realize that today because of what we think about the history of that. That was well done. But two negatives. One, I mean, you think of that movie, and, like, people talk about it, how it's great. I didn't enjoy it that much.
Okay.
I always felt like it was a good movie, and clearly it was made very soon after Watergate happened. So, like,
2 years after the final indictments went down, it came out.
There you go. And I kept expecting it to, like, be, hit really hard and, like, come up with a punch, and then it kind of just limps it to the end.
It's very subtle. Yeah, there isn't.
Yeah, I didn't care for that. And the second thing is, you guys know how I am with, like, awkward humor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kept getting awkward. All those scenes where they're pushing their people, like, I get that's good journalism. Like, you got to push them into telling you the real story. What is it? I'm like,
I feel like you'd be a very good journalist.
I get it, but that's not me, and I felt really skeeved out by that, even though I knew they were doing a good job.
Yeah, sometimes Dustin Hoffman went a little far, I thought, but agreed. Yeah. The parallels. One of the parallels we didn't talk about was I loved the scenes where they showed Nixon's actual press secretary, and he'd just say things like, "Well, it's so clear the Washington Post just has it out for us. Like, it's so clear that they just want to help the Democrats." And I'm like, this is too real. Like, this isn't even. It's like they're not even trying to be different from them.
Right?
That was.
And I watched it like 2 weeks into the Trump presidency, and the parallels were still striking then.
Yeah, we watched it the day before the Mueller indictments came out, so that was fun.
Yeah, pretty on par.
Yeah, I know, and it is funny. Also, you say the slow burning thing because I know a lot of Republicans or like Breitbart users saying stuff like, "Wow, they've been doing this investigation forever and haven't found anything," and it's like this stuff takes a little time, right?
Yeah,
like,
apparently Watergate took 2-3 years.
2 years, I think.
That's
From
so
the
much
break-in
time.
to the final indictments.
Yeah, it feels so similar with that movie.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyway, do you have a letter grade for the movie?
For normal people, probably a B+. For historical accuracy, I give it an A. For me personally, I give it about a C. Maybe
C. I want the John grade.
Yeah.
Final question. Is it worth it to get a Switch just for Mario Odyssey?
So you're thinking about you've already played Zelda. I would say no.
Interesting.
Especially since you're going to get to borrow it from me at some point.
That is a good point. All right. Excellent. Good bro call, John. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's a good bro call.
That was a good pro call. I don't care about the Nintendo Switch.
You kidding me? Have you seen this game, Mario Odyssey?
No,
It has a great music, it has great levels.
I don't like background music.
Dude, just wait till you see it. See other movies and other shows that do it. It is awesome.
All right.
You think it's like that'll be distracting, right? Like, how am I going to hear the dialogue? There's other things going on.
I think it's so weird that we've done this joke a million times, but haven't talked about how the movie didn't do any music in the background during dramatic parts. What did you think about that?
I thought it was fine.
You didn't,
I thought there was a little bit of music in some places.
but like every time most of the time that was quiet. Like whenever he met with Deep Throat or whenever he was paranoid, there was never a dun dun. It was just nothing in the
I
background.
actually did like it because the acting was so good.
I agree.
So it was totally good.
That was a good discussion.
They weren't lions, as we've discussed, but somehow...
Can you show me a film where they are being lions?
Let's see, like Wizard of Oz, the great acting. Do you know what I mean now? Are you on board?
Can you give me 2 more examples?
No, I cannot. I'm upset you had to push it that far.
Put 'em up. Put 'em up. That's all I remember.
Good acting.
That was good.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you buy that I was a lion? Just
Yes. Well, the character in The Wizard of Oz also.
then? Right.
Anyway, should we wrap it up here?
Yeah, would this go on your personal AFI?
There's 100 films.
That's 100 films.
Ugh, I mean...
As we've discussed, you have no respect for what the criteria of the AFI usually is.
Right. It's just movies that I like. But I do also like to make sure it has genres represented. So I guess, yeah. And I feel like I'm cool if I have this on my list.
That's pretty cool.
People be like, "Oh, you're into sophisticated movies." So, really, I should just go over the whole list because then it'd be like, "Wow, that's exactly the same. You are so sophisticated." That's the real list. Did you know that? I'd be like, "What? I just like those movies. That's so weird." Let's go out.
Except instead of Blade Runner, you put Matrix.
Right, except that. Be like, one difference. That's hot. That's a hot difference. Anyway, would you put this on your AFI list?
It is one of my favorite films of all time.
Oh, so yeah.
And it was one of those movies, like, the first time I saw it, I'm like, fuck yeah. And then I saw it again, I'm like, oh my god, this movie. And then now that we watched it a third time, and I'm like, whoa.
Wow. Those are all good.
Yeah. So I mentioned the movie Spotlight, which I very much encourage you and our listeners to see if you haven't already. It was so good, and it was very similar, but maybe, I mean,
I'm a Mark Ruffalo fan. I want to see it.
Right. I mean, I think it's probably a better film. It's a little more polished. There's a little more beginning and ending.
I like that.
And
too.
it's obviously, there's nothing we don't understand because it's a little more, it's easier premise to understand, like what they uncovered, you know, the cover up of priests and and such a anyway. So I think that might be a better film, but All the President's Men has a special place in my heart.
Totally.
And of course, the historical relevance, all that blah, blah,
Totally.
blah. So, yes.
And my grade would be a C+. I'm going to lean toward John. Did we get your grade?
A.
Wow.
Not an A+.
Not an
I
A+,
will
though.
admit, only because I just totally get why someone would not like this film.
That's cool.
It
That's
drags
very,
a bit.
It's very empathetic of you.
I am so fucking empathetic.
You're so understanding.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Cool.
But before we go, I think we need to thank this week's sponsor.
That's true. This show cannot happen without them.
Right. It cannot happen.
They are the
without-
blood. They are the lifeblood. Do people say lifeblood?
That sounds like a thing.
It sounds like a thing. And they run the show. They're the heartbeat of our show.
Yeah. So brought to you by Radio Shack.
Oh no, I'm out of walkie-talkies. Where do we go? Not anywhere that I could think of. Not Walmart. Do not go to Walmart. But here's where we can go. To Radio Shack if we're 10 years from now because I don't think they're open anymore.
I think there actually are still some freestanding Radio Shacks that exist, including in our city.
What a cool... Because I hate... What does freestanding mean before I go on with the bit? What do you mean freestanding?
I just mean that I like the people who had bought from the franchise like got to keep it.
Oh, so they're independent.
I think.
I hate going to all these fucking non-mom and pop, these fucking corporate places that all look the same. What town am I in? Doesn't matter. It's all the same. There's a McDonald's. There's the Kmart.
What about Radio Shack?
What about Radio Shack? There, it's different. There, you go in, there's a dream catcher. You didn't expect that. It's because it's all different. Everyone is different. This one, they only sell orange juice. I can't buy a walkie-talkie here, but wow, what character. Man, I love orange juice. So that's fun. And you don't see that in a lot of places.
You do not see enough orange juice vendor.
That's all they sell. At this one that I'm thinking of, man, there's a lot of charm there.
It's delightful. All right.
Yeah, they give us a lot of money too, which is great.
That's, we get a lot of cash.
From those freestanding mom and pop Radio Shacks that sell orange juice, they pay us a lot of money. Please end this.
Yeah. So that's it for this week's Flahertys on Films. Please join us next time when we talk about Forrest Gump.
Oh, I'm
a
so excited.
cool little film.
Yeah, well, it's pretty long. And cut.